Welcome back to my last and final new EDH deck. We are playing Is It Locust God. It's a 4/4 flying god creature with that costs 6 mana, 4 of anything, and a blue and a red. And whenever I draw a card, I get to create a hasty little locust with haste and attack. I can pay 4 to draw a card and discard, so 4 to loot. And then if it dies, I can put it into my hand at the beginning of the end step if it goes to the graveyard. So I can kind of avoid commander's tax that way. But I will say that I did spend money on the masterpiece. I just really like the way it looks. I know a lot of people don't. You know, I actually got it on the TCG Christmas sale or whatever, so when I bought it for $45, it gave me about $20 in points back, so I was able to buy a lot of this deck in foil for the fun of it. Now let's look at the deck itself. I run a bunch of the Urza Saga's Islands, John Avon Urza Saga's Mountains as my basics, and my non-basics, you know, basic card draw, a bunch of the dual colored Grixis Panorama to search, but I don't have any of the fancy, expensive, you know, dual lands. I did run a bunch of artifact ramp signets. Oh man, the glare is bad. Let me see if I can move. Cluestone, the new Locket to card draw, Mindstone still is card draw, Chalice, card draw, Hedron Archive, card draw, Dreamstone Hedron. Draw 3 cards. You get the idea. Darksteel Ingot and Felwar Stone. So that's my mana and my mana ramp. I'm just gonna move him out of the way. I'm gonna put the Locust God with his little locusts. This is a Biden of Thassa. It allows me to draw a card when my creatures deal damage. Throne of the Godfarer deals damage to everyone. Everyone loses life, I should say. Not deals damage, but loses life with the number of tapped creatures I control. So when my insects get busy, you know, my opponents do lose a good bit of life. Pilipala, just kind of for the infinite combo with the Grand Architect. Spellbook, no maximum hand size. Isochron Scepter, just for some of these really good value spells later on, including Dramatic Reversal. Skull Clamp, card draw off of killing an insect. Swiftfoot Boots, and Elixir to shuffle it all back in. Now, I run a suite of these. These are my favorite cards, probably, in Magic. And it's because when I play Commander, let's get them out of the glare. When I play Commander, these are the gotcha cards. And they're all in blue, which I really love. Etherize, instant, return all their attacking creatures. It's a good politics card. You say, you know what, you're going to be punished if you attack. And then you punish them. Another instant, you know, you remove all of them and you force those creatures to attack someone else. I love it. Another instant for combat. You know, they all lose their abilities and become 1/1s. That's not good. Domineering Will, you know, I can gain control of 3 of their creatures and block with their own creatures. Ether Spouts, yeah, you know, you put it back on bottom or top just to kind of mess up their draw, just depending. Ensnare, I can tap all of their creatures. And Bluster Squall, same thing. You overload it for 4 and you just tap down their whole board so they can't attack you. So make sure you let them know that with these 7 spells, combat can get really tricky if they decide they want to come at you. And I really like to put these 7 in most of my blue decks just because they're fantastic. They're so good. Let's get into some of my enchantments. Breath of Fury. I can attach it to one of my tokens and with one of my insects. And when one of my insects dies, or after it enters combat and my insect deals damage, then I sacrifice it and attach it to another insect. And then I get another combat step. And I go to combat and I attack with all those insects again after they all untap. And I keep doing that until I pretty much run out of insects. So it just gives me a whole bunch of combat steps. Favorable Winds pumps up those little locusts. Gravitational Shift, Emrakul's, you know, pumping up those those Locusts, Fever Visions, painful card draw out of those eyes. It just deals damage to players. Ophidian Eye. You know the Niv Mizzet combo. I've already got it in here. I don't use it very often. And Impact Tremors just deals damage to each opponent based on the number of creatures I'm playing. Like that come into play when I draw cards. And then I've pretty much got a bunch of card draw and wheel effects. Now let's start with some of these utility spells. Dramatic Reversal. I can untap all non-land permanents, so that gives me a chance to block with those Locusts as well. I can draw or counter or just deal 2 damage if I need to. It's a free counter spell because you untap lands. Spell Twine is pretty good. Open into Wonder allows me to draw cards for as much as I pay for the insects. I get to draw cards when they deal damage for the as many of those insects as I target when they deal damage. Mystic Remora allows me to just keep drawing more cards. Brainstorm, draw 3. Keep Watch allows me to draw for each of my Locusts that are attacking. Faithless Looting, loot 2. Treasure Cruise, draw 3. Teleportal gives them pumps and unblocks for the overload of 5. Browbeat, I love Browbeat. Somebody's going to take that 5 to not let me draw 3 cards. And usually I attack the person. Whoever took the 5, I usually attack with my Locusts once they decide that they don't let me have those 3 cards. Frantic Search, draw it, loot 2, and then for free because you untap your lands. Distant Melody, I'm choosing Locust, or I'm sorry, I choose Insect, and then I draw for however many insects I have just to create that many more for combat. Minds Aglow lets everybody draw cards. Aren't I fun? Aren't I a nice person? Unless I'm killing you with it. Stroke of Genius, I pay X and draw. The new Expansion Explosion, I can copy a spell, or I can, draw X and deal X damage. Draw X, Blue Sun Zenith, draw X. Now with all of those draw spells, this is a way for all of my opponents to lose life when I draw cards. Windreader Sphinx, when any of my insects attack, I get to draw a card. Dualcaster copies a spell. Grand Architect for combo. Niv Mizzet, Perrin for drawing cards. He's great in Standard, he's great in EDH. And the Firemind allows me to draw cards, especially with Ophidian Eye. Fateful Showdown, let's get into my loot, or wheel. Fateful Showdown allows me to discard and draw cards. Molten Psyche, discard hand, draw cards. Incendiary Command, discard hand, draw. Collective Defiance, wheel again, discard, draw. Shattered Perception, discard cards, draw. Diminishing Returns, exile and draw. Windfall, everybody knows Windfall. And Tolarian Winds, discard hand, draw that many. Then my loot creatures, Magus of the Wheel, Jace's Archivist, Whirlpool Drake, discard, draw. What is wrong with my... Okay, anyways. Whirlpool Rider and Whirlpool Warrior as my wheel effects. But that is my Locust God EDH deck. Thanks for checking it out. Feel free to leave a comment below. Questions, any deck techs on what you want coming up. I do have a cool black-green deck coming up soon, as well as another mono blue. Let me know if you want to see Nezahal first, or if you want to see Slimefoot and his spores, or saprolings. Thank you.